Hey guys, and welcome to my video review of Transformers Generations Deluxe Class Jhiaxus. Now, Jhiaxus is originally a Generation 2 character, and he was featured, as of late, very prominently in the IDW comics, both More Than Meets the Eye and more predominantly Robots in Disguise. Now, Jhiaxus is awesome. This is a cool figure. Now, he's not very accurate in terms of color to Jhiaxus from both Generation 2 and the comics, because in there he's more green and yellow. This is more accurate to just like one very short scene in which he copied Starscream's new body to fight Starscream, not being Armada Starscream from the comics. He copied his body, and that kind of justifies the remold. So, I mean, that part's cool. So yeah, I mean, it's a heavy remold, so I'm perfectly fine with it being a remold. The wings are completely different, the cockpit's completely different, the tail fins are completely different as well, and then instead of swords, he has guns. So a very nice, very heavily retooled remold. So I like that. But like I said, he's not completely accurate to Generation 2 or the comics, because in those he has a mix of green, yellow, and red as his primary colors, while here it's mostly just orange and gray. And the orange comes off a bit darker on camera than it does to the naked eye. It's a really bright, like, searing orange. It's just, when you look away from it, you remember the orange. It's that bright. But I like it. It's a cool orange color. There aren't many Transformers that are this color, so, I mean, at least there's some variety there. And though he's not completely accurate, he's still really cool. I love this figure. I love this mold and the remold. I like the Starscream version a little bit more, but this guy is still pretty friggin' awesome. So for features on the jet mode, push to fire cannons, 2 of them. So those are pretty neato. Push the missile back in there. There we go. He has landing gear. You can just, like that, flip it up. It flips up there. He has these guns, which you can remove if you so choose. I'm going to go ahead and do that for the robot mode. Get those out of the way. They're pretty detailed. I'll show that off later. But as for the jet mode, that's about it. Yeah. Let's get a little bit of size comparison, though, actually. Here he is next to Generations Bumblebee. This is from the IDW version of Bumblebee. This is a typical Deluxe Class figure. I will probably use him for most of my Generations reviews as a sense of scale for Deluxe Class figures. So yeah, he's your typical jet-sized Deluxe. A little bit narrow on the nose cone and the wings, but then the rest of that is made up for with the body. He's pretty light, but still a good figure. Very good figure. Normal Deluxe Class size. I do like that there's no kibble. It's a very streamlined jet. So that is nice to see. A streamlined jet Transformer they're far and few between, so whatever the phrase is. But yeah, cool figure. But let's get to the transformation. That's enough about the jet mode. Let's get to the better of the 2 modes, which I find is the robot mode. Transformation is very simple. The first thing you want to do is bring these down. These become the arms. You can go ahead and flip out the hands if you so choose. There you go. Next, the legs. You unpeg them from each other. Bring them out. Rotate, like so. On Starscream, these tail fins pop in. They don't really do that on Jhiaxus. They kind of just stay there. So you got these big, knee tail fins or whatever. The feet, flip them down, and then flip out the heel spur, just like so. Do that on both sides. And there you have the legs. Next step is you come up here and just pull this flap down a little bit, and that reveals his head. And then you take this nose cone, and unlike on Starscream, this actually folds up all the way back like that. On Starscream, it's just one hard, solid piece. On here, it actually folds up a bit. Then you take the legs, and you fold it down, and that pops up the head. And then you fold the nose cone up, and it just goes right into place. and then this doesn't really peg in to the nose cone anywhere like on Starscream, but that's okay. I mean, it's on a ratchet joint, so it stays in place fairly well. Let me angle the camera up just a bit. And then you take the wings and you just fold them back. And then if you want, you can leave these cannons as they are, but I like to fold them back onto his back. And yeah, that's the transformation. There's Jhiaxus in his robot mode. Now here in his robot mode, I like him a lot. He's a lot cooler looking than the jet mode, I think. He has a lot going for him here. It's pretty sleek. It kind of curves down in a sharp angle and it curves again. And I like the nose cone folding up because it makes it more compact. And I don't know, there's something about this figure that I really, really like. I do prefer Starscream more just because I'm a huge Armada Starscream fan and I love that mold. It's really nice. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get them together here just so you can see the differences in their robot modes. So the cockpit here obviously folds up, as I mentioned and showed. Here it's just one solid piece. So that changes their chest a bit. Then their chest mold's quite a bit different. His is more curved. This one has the vents. The forearms and the legs are pretty much the same except for the fins. They stick out further on Jhiaxus' legs. And then the wings. His angle downwards and they're that shape, and then Starscream's angle upwards and are the more pointed shape. So, and then the head mold's obviously different. So, though you're buying pretty much the same mold, this one's been retooled so heavily that it feels and looks almost like a completely different figure. And I like that. If all remolds were like that, oh, what a great world this would be. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But with this guy, it is. And again, like I said before, not completely Generation 2 or comic accurate, apart from that one scene in the comics. But it's good figure, and I'm glad to have a Jhiaxus. It copies the only other Jhiaxus figure. I forget which line it came out with. It's a remold of one of it's either Beast Wars or Beast Machines toys, and it's really orange and white. It's pretty much the same orange as this. So I think that's one of the reasons they went with the orange, because the only other Jhiaxus toy was that color. But still, I like it. I really do. Now, if you remember, I did take off these guns from earlier, and if it will focus on it, let me show off the detailing on those. Pretty nice. It's got a little scope, it's got the ammo clip, it's got the handle, it looks like a silencer, or at least a, you know, it's just detailed. It's detailed. I don't know if it's a barrel or a silencer, but it looks cool. Focus on the gun. There you go. But yeah, I like it. Those pegs are for when it pegs into under the wings. But the handle, you can just put that right into his hand. He holds it quite well. And you can do that with the other gun as well. So he can pose pretty well with those, and you can just point those at his enemies, even though he's more of a scientist, and a creative, evil mind than a warrior. But weapons are always nice, in my opinion. I like them. And you can flip up the cannons over his shoulders, and they still fire as well, just like that. So yeah. And just a little bit of size comparison for the robot mode. I'm going to use the typical Seeker mold because most collectors or fans of Transformers usually have one version of this guy, or this mold right here. So, typical deluxe height, and he is dead even. This is a typical deluxe class size. He's a little skinny on certain regions like the waist, but overall he has that usual deluxe class bulk to him, normal size. So that's good. It doesn't get really skimped out on. I feel like, knocked over Thundercracker there. But I feel this guy, he got enough attention. Like, they put attention into this figure. It wasn't just like, oh, we'll swap the head with Starscream and we'll call it done. No, they actually put some effort into this. So I do appreciate that. And they've really been knocking it out of the park with Generation figures as of late. And this guy definitely falls into that category of awesome Generations figures. But let's get some close-up on the detailing, just so you can see some of the little aspects of him that I enjoy so much. So first off, you have Jhiaxus' head, which it's pretty accurate in terms of the mold. The coloring, again, if you were green, yellow, and red, with the red being on the head, make him far more accurate to G2 and the comics, but the mold itself, very nice. That's JHIAXUS. It's cool. He doesn't have any light piping, but he does have a full focus on his eye. A little bit of yellow in there. It's kind of hard because it clashes with the orange. The orange really overpowers it. But he does have a little bit of yellow painted onto his eyes. He has the white face and a little bit of gray painted on the vents on his head. A nice blue there on the cockpit with some detailing in there. Oh, I like the way the cockpit looks. Then here on the shoulders, he has some of those gray stripes. A little bit of the same gray there as was up there. Molded detailing underneath the wings. On the back of the wings, he's got a little bit of a lighter grayish silver and then a darker gray and gray Decepticon emblems right there. Some more detailing on the cannons with minicon ports, if you so choose. There's really no point to put minicons on JHIAXUS though. Here on the legs, just a little bit of molded detailing, and then the black fins. That's really it. Some more paint apps would be nice, but maybe we would get that on maybe a Takara version, this being the Hasbro. But, I mean, no complaints, no complaints. This is a really solid figure in my opinion, and I really do like having him in my collection. And lastly, before this review wraps up, let's go over the articulation. The arms go forwards and backwards, out and in, rotate at the upper arm, bend at the elbow, just a little bit. The wrist has a little bit of swivel from the transformation. The head can rotate side to side, look up and down. The waist, there is none, but the hips are on ball joints, so they can go out and in, forwards, backwards. Thigh swivel, bend at the knee, and then some posability in the feet, mostly again due to transformation. So he has some decent posability. Oh, also the wings. You can angle those around, flip them back, whatever. I just keep them as they are right now. So he has decent posability. You can get some pretty cool poses with this guy. So overall, I would highly recommend picking this figure up. He's just another great Generations figure, and just finally getting a JHIAXUS just makes me happy, having one in my collection. So that's really it for this guy. This has been a review of Deluxe Class Jhiaxus. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next review.